Right. So I've got to get the outside of this turned down. Sorry about the volume at the end of of the last video. I think I must have inadvertently pulled the cable out, and I noticed when I put it on the computer it was the volume was a bit sharp. So I've had a look at settings and stuff, and made a couple of alterations. We'll see if that makes things any better. It's a new camera I've got, so it's taking a little bit of figuring out. Well, not figuring out, but you know what I mean, messing around. Right. Don't think that tip's particularly brilliant, but it'll do. Right, we'll get this turned down. I'll just find the right size micrometer, because we're going to get that down to 88mm. So I'll find a mic and then we'll get going. Right, we'll give that a whirl first. Put a millimetre on it, see if we can get onto that nasty old scale. Yeah, you can see a lot of that, can't you? Right, we'll let it run to the end and I'll see if I can move the camera around a bit. Hell's up with that. We're hitting the very bottom of there. Let's just slide the tool out a bit more. I wonder how many of you have done that in the past and you heard it and there was the I know what that is. Got a lot of stick out though, that's the only problem. But needs must. Yeah, about 88mm I think I want to be at. I'll have to double check. Oh, I've got the wrong one anyway, haven't I? Oh no, I haven't. Yeah, 99mm, right. I'll see if I can do something with this camera and then I'll have another go. Now I don't know whether I can leave you there for good because I don't want all these chips smashing into my camera, so we'll have a go first, shall we, and see. I'll put a new tip on the tool as well. Why is it not liking that one? Maybe I was spinning it the wrong way. Let's try that. Oh dear God. Maybe I was spinning it the right way around then. Right. That's no good, is it, boys? Let me choke this back in as far as I can. I'm wondering if it's just because we're stuck right out it's causing us the issue. So we can get up to about there. That's pulled it in considerably. Can't be turning with it like that, it'll drive me up the wall. Right, let's have another go, shall we? We're going to be running at 320, hopefully the right way. That's still making a horrible bloody noise. Oh dear God. Right, I want to try something else. I'll have to switch the camera off for a minute, try a different tool. Right, let's have a go at this, shall we? We've got CNMG in now, so let's see if this is going to squeal its head off so much. That's a little less noisy. Now the battery's about to go in the camera. Let's get another battery. Much better. Right, we'll keep machining that down until we get it down to 88mm. So this wants to finish somewhere about 12mm. And we're currently at 19. So there's a bit to come off it. Feel it, hear it taking that that bad edge off the front. I've only took 20 thou off that pass. We'll just let that clean it up and I'll try 40, see what she does. 40 thou. Seems to be taking that alright. Even this horrible bloody steel, look, if you can push it with carbide and make it rub, you get a glass finish. It's making that sort of rumbly noise, you know, the way it's cutting, it's just not brilliant. That hit the front of my camera lens then. I'm going to get a protector for the front of my camera. Take another mill off it. And then that should leave us about 0.6 of a mil. It's actually quite hot. So I'll just take this face cut off now, and then I shall leave it to cool down before we go any further. Yeah, just as you get near the end, look, it leaves a shit finish. I think what we'll do though, we'll put the other smaller tool back on when we come to take our finishing cuts off there, because I've got to put a recess on this side as well, so it doesn't really matter. So about 12.6 or somewhere, I should say, we've finished up. 12.64. Get that off. 12.57, sorry. Yeah, there we go. You see that in there? Anyway, right, I'm going to let it all cool down now. Yeah, it's just fairly warm, is that? Clear some of this rubbish out of the way. And then when it's cooled down, I shall... God, it is horrible, stringy, bloody stuff this is. Yeah, when it's cooled down, we'll just take it down to size, and then we've got to bore a recess on the inside of here. I've got one here, like that, look. So it grips the grinding disc just with the outside edge. We'll do that a bit later. Right, leave it to cool. You'll have to excuse me a little bit, chaps, because this video that you're watching now, this bit that we're doing right this second, is about 3 weeks after the bit that you've just watched, if that makes any sense, because I've been really busy with work and everything after all this lockdown stuff, and I managed to get a little bit of time this afternoon because somebody's decided to crash into my vehicle, which as you can imagine I'm not very happy about, but as they say, shit happens. So what I had done was 1, 2, 3 more of these hubs. I've drilled all the holes for the balancing screws. Why is that not wanting to? For the balancing screws, and countersunk them, and now they all just want tapping. So that's what I'm going to do now. And what I've then got to do is, I've got some of these are a little bit tight going on the threads, so I think what I'm going to do is run a little bit of grinding paste. Which one did I tap? Was that one? I'm going to run a little bit of grinding paste on the, let me get this right. I'm going to hold that in the lathe. I'm going to put a little bit of grinding paste on the threads here and just have the lathe running in a low speed and work this back up and down till it gets a little bit freer, because the first one I made, the threads are a really nice fit, but I had a hell of a job getting it undone, and I think it's maybe to do with that for the application on a grinding machine, the threads don't want to be a real precision fit. Now I know that might go against the grain with some, but that's what I found with mine anyway. So I have, what have I got? I've got 16 holes on each of these, so 16 times 3, whatever that is. In my head that works out to be rather a lot. So as you can see, I'm just using this little block to keep me pretty square. I'll start it off and take it out, because by the time I get to the thread depth, that part of the tap hits the threading block. Just blow that bit out there, and then I'm just going to run the tap into the bottom. Was it that one? Just to finish the thread off in each one. And by the time I've done all 16 holes on each of the 3 plates, is that the one I've already done? I think I'll have had enough. But it wants doing, doesn't it? So yeah, that's the one that we just did. So anyway, you can see what I'm up to. Oh, I also put a couple of holes in each of them for the pin spanner to tighten them up and take them off again. That it. For anyone that's interested, they're M5, these are. So I will get a little bit more air hose over it. Find somewhere to hang my air gun. Yeah, I was going down a road yesterday in my van, and there was a guy coming out of a junction in front of me, and when I saw him, he was already a couple of foot into the road, and as I got closer to him, he then pulled to the centre of the road at the point which I stopped, and he panicked for some, and I don't know why he bloody panicked, but he did. He put his foot down, shot across the road in front of me as he was turning to his right, which was obviously coming down my right hand side, and hit the curb. And when he hit the curb on the other side of the road, the arsehole bounced across the road and run straight into the side of my van. So he's damaged it from pretty much the centre of the van right to the driver's side back wheel arch. Made a right freaking mess of it. Insurance company said that my vehicle is uneconomical to be repaired, which is pretty much what I thought they would say, because I bought the van new in 2006, but it's got 118,000 miles on it. I have looked after it best I can, and in the last couple of years my friend Robin has helped me out quite a lot with it, and his son Russell. Robin's a good mechanic in his own right, and Russell just does it for a living. I mean, what that lad can't fix, you don't need to worry about. So it's had new starter motor, new steering rack, new rear suspension, 4 new tyres, new brakes, the list goes on and on and on. So I've told the insurance company that I'm not prepared to have the van written off, and they've offered me a couple of grand for it, which you'd think doesn't sound a lot. Well, it's even less when they take a further £600 off of that, because that's what they will charge me to buy the van back from them. And my friend across the road, who's a body shop guy, he's confident he can do all, you know, get everything sorted on my van well within that sort of figure. But it's just time, isn't it? You know, it's just a pain in the you-know-what. But they offered me a hire van, which, unless you're in my sort of job, i.e. as a tradesperson, my van's full of all my tools and it's all racked out, and there's no way for a couple of days do I want a hire van just to throw all the gear out of my van into one of those that's not racked out, because all my tools would be on top of each other. Therefore I wouldn't really be able to work efficiently, properly, whatever you want to call it, or in my case just don't want to work at all. So anyway, when I get these done, I've got a bucket behind me on the floor off a mini digger that needs altering because it won't fit the digger. It's a brand new bucket that's never been used. It's basically the end of the digger arm that goes into the bucket. The space where it goes in is not wide enough. So I've got that to do next, and that's part and parcel for myself, because another big expense has come my way, unfortunately. I've got to put in a new sewage treatment plant. So I've got to dig a big hole to put the tank in, connect into my existing drains, put a soak away in, right down the bottom of my garden. So I'll video doing the bucket. If anybody's interested in watching how I get on with it, with the tank and the drains, if you put it in the comments that you want to see it, I'll record some of it for you. Some people might find it interesting. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, I'll carry on getting all these tapped, and then we'll get on the lathe and get a bit of grinding paste on and just get these to run free. Right, there was one other thing I forgot. My very good friend Bob, DTI Bob from up in Newcastle, has sent me a, I'll just cover my address up there if you don't mind, from Bob. Sent me a parcel and he said I'm to open it on camera. So let's just hope it doesn't go bang, shall we, and then we should be fine. Have a little knife somewhere. And knowing that it's from Bob, you can have a rough guess what it is, but I also know that whatever it is, it'll be very nice if it's from Bob. Well, it's in a box. Oh dear. Nice little box as well. I wonder if he's made that. Wouldn't surprise me knowing Bob. Hello. Swiss made. Oh, it smells of all the oily stuff. Can we see that on there? Yeah. Oh, it's got a battery in it there. Mode. We've got inch, millimetre, Oh, hang on, so that's what? So that's measuring, Jesus Christ, Bob, that is fine. Because the second one in from the end is a 1/10, isn't it? So that's a 1/10 of a 1/10. Bloody hell, he did say it was, he gave me a bit of an idea what it was. So what's that then? So 0.1, 0.001. Oh, I see, so you can set your 0 and all that on it. Crikey, that's 12.5 millimetres, so it's 0.001. What's that, plus or minus? Oh, that measures half a 1/10 then. Oh, thanks, Bob. That's just, oh God. He was mentioning to me on the phone. He said, "I've got something you'll be able to measure your block with." And then I want a surface ground. Crikey, that'll measure it all right, won't it? I've never had a digital one of these. So that, yeah, that's 0, isn't it? Thank you very much, Bob. You're a diamond fella, you are. I don't know what I'd do without you, but I wouldn't. Oh God, look at that! He's even put a spare battery in it. How kind is that? I wouldn't have any decent DTRs if it wasn't for him. Let me find. Oh, well, that's supposed to turn it off, is it? If you hold it. Ah, there we go. I'll put that in the cabinet, Bob, with my other ones that you sent me. Because they stay in the house as specials. Oh, cheers, mate. I'm really chuffed for that. I will. I can't check my block on the surface plate because as I'm stood here looking over my shoulder, it's absolutely covered in stuff again. But yeah, really appreciate that, Bob. That's going to come in really handy. I think he said he kind of told me what it was roughly, but he said he'd had it on his shelf for a number of years and that he'd never used it because he'd never found a need for it. And he thought maybe I could find a use for it with my endeavours in surface grinding. So, yeah, that's a good addition to my DTIs, that, Bob. Cheers, mate. Right, let me get the rest of these tapped. Right, I'm reliably informed by my mechanic friend that if I get a bit of this fine grinding paste, this is a set of, a pair of snap-on pliers that I've had for literally years. And when I mentioned to him, because I saw him, I think what I'll do, I'll put a little bit of WD on it just to help it get in there. I told him I was going to put a bit of grinding paste on my hubs like I'm just going to show you, and he went, yeah, that'll do it, Al. He said, I'll tell you something else you can do with that grinding paste. And I said, what's that? And he said, if you've got a pair of pliers or snips that are seized up, and I said, yeah, I have actually. He says, get a bit of that fine paste. He says, and try and wedge it in, you know, the gap there where they move apart. And work it backwards and forwards till you get the grinding paste in there. He said it's a mechanic's trick. He said because when you're working underneath the car and you open your pliers, you want them to fall open, not be really stiff like these are. So we'll work that in there a bit and we'll see if we can do any good with it. I'll leave them stood up and let that soak in a bit, I think. So back to this. So like I was saying, I've inadvertently cut the threads a little bit too good, in a sense that I had a job to get them. My arm's in the way, sorry boys, I can't really do a lot of anything about that. So what I'm going to do is going to pop that in there. As you can see, I'm not running very fast. do that, just true that up a touch. Nip the vise just a little. I'm going to get a bit of this fine paste. Put a few dabs on the thread. Now, a few years ago, my good friend Robin, he had a milling machine. It was a Deckel, and the screw on the lead nut, sorry, the nut on the lead screw had gone, and Robin had bought a piece of phosphor bronze and then decided the best thing to do was to to bring it to me and say, here, Al, make me a new nut. So it was about that long, well, about 2.5, 3 inches long, and it had a really coarse thread in it. So anyway, I machined up the piece of phosphor bronze on my old Colchester Bantam lathe I had then, and I got it, so I'm just putting a little bit of pressure on this, up and down, rocking it a bit, just to let that paste cut any burrs out. So anyway, I made in the lead nut, and it's screwed on 2/3 of the way up the lead screw, just nicely. But the last little bit, it just would not go. And I didn't want to cut the thread anymore in the nut, because it was £65, or 60 or £65 for the piece of phosphor bronze. So I did this. And just to give you a bit of an idea, I'm just going to clean this up while I'm talking, to give you a bit of an idea about how well it turned out. I ran the nut up the lead screw with a little bit of this stuff in it, a little bit of this grinding paste in it, twice, all the way up and all the way back down, and I washed it off and I tried the nut again. I had it in the lathe and I just held on the nut and let the lathe wind it up, and I tried the nut again, and it just went up and down just like you'd want to. And when I had first bought my Bantam lathe, a good friend of mine called Peter, who no longer lives around here, he's moved away, unfortunately, he came with me to have a look at it. And when we were looking at the Bantam, I do remember him saying to me about the play in the dials. He said anything up to sort of 30, even 40 thou, Al, he said he's thought of as about, you know, normal. So don't worry about that. So I didn't. However, when I made that lead screw for the X-Travel on Robin's milling machine, after we'd cleaned it all up and put it all back together, we had 4 thou of backlash on it, which I thought was pretty bloody good, like. See, there was a burr on the outside of there. I don't know if I can get it on the camera. I don't want to touch the camera because I've got old brake line on. The little burrs that was in there, that grinding paste has taken it all out. I wouldn't recommend you do this on something that you want to be a really, really close fit. But for this, it seems fine. So I'll get the other one done, and then we'll have a look, see how they've all turned out. Well, there's only 3 of them, and then we'll have a quick look at them pliers. Right, we're all done, chaps. I've blued them, as you can see, and put some oil on them. These threads are just starting, so I'll show you what I mean now. Look, that little dab of grinding paste. Oh, that's nice now. And I can get just a little bit of wobble in it, which is really what I need, because it when you put the grinding wheel on, you nip it, it just seems to tighten up too much. Yeah, that's nice, that is. So what I did, I filled the sink up with water, put my gloves on, I got the water as hot as I could stand it, put loads of washing up liquid in it, or washing soap as our American friends call it, and got as much of the grease and grime off these as I could, and oil. The trick to bluing, from what I've made, I've done it a few times but not many, is if you want it to come out looking absolutely, you know, the dog's doodahs. It needs to be spotless. There's no second sort of, well, you know, it's nearly spotless, that'll be all right. I'm afraid that's not good enough. It's got to be. They're not spotless. You can see in there, look, there's a bit missing in there because I didn't get all the oil and that off them. But if you do, you really need, I think maybe the best way I can explain how I would like to do it is have a tub of proper degreasing oil, you know, like you do an engine with. Put them in there with a pair of gloves on, give them a really, really good scrubbing down. Take them out, just rinse, do them like that, and then take them into the kitchen. Again, the sink as hot as you can get it. Give them a bit of a swirl around in there. I was using one of these brushes in the sink, and then when I got on the bluing solution in the tub, I was using the brush and just spreading it around. You can see it was that one, looks, it's blued the shaft. Because I do think it helps when these have been in red hot water, it warms them up, and when you put it in the blue solution, it seems to help. Now, I've used that blue I've got a few times, so I don't even bother diluting it. I just tipped it straight out of the bottle into a tub and just dropped them in one piece at a time. And then when I thought they was good enough, I took them out, rinsed them under the tap, under the hot tap, dried them off with a towel, and then I brought them in here and give them a bit of a once over with some that's just some cutting oil. So we've got, how many have we got now, Al? We've got one in that grinding wheel there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the grinder. Yeah, so that gives me 6 now. They're ready to go. I'm not going to bother to balance them or anything with a particular wheel in. As I want the wheels, and I pick a hub, put the wheel in. I've got a little something or other somewhere, I don't know where I've put it, a little fixture what I can put in my lathe to turn these little M5 screws down to the length I want. And I'll just do them as I want them, and then I'll end up with the right wheels in them. If I've put a different wheel in them all now and balance them up, sod's law, I'll come to want a particular wheel that I haven't got in. So anyway, we'll leave that for now. I'll leave them, just let the oil soak in them a little bit more, and then next job will be the digger bucket, which is, let me see that, come on, expose your bugger for the corner. Yeah, it's down there, look. So yeah, so you see it's already got a couple of pins in. It's a new bucket what he's bought, and he's been gracious enough to lend me his digger. So I'll show you what I've got to do. This is obviously the back of my house. Noisy bastard. So from in front of my little wood trolley there's a drain comes down there underneath this block paving, down here, into this manhole, and then it runs into that manhole there, and then the other side of that fence it runs right down to the very end to a shared tank between 6 properties. But the tank now is failing, so they want 10 grand off us, each of us, to replace the tank, which I'm not going to do that, and neither is my neighbour. So I'm going to dig a trench, take this block paving up around there underneath the little digger. So I've got all this block paving to take up out here, as you can see, and pick the drain up over there obviously, and I'm going to bring it down here, and then, oh, let me just put this image stabilisation on, might make things a bit better. And then this is coming down the side of my garden, so that's looking back, look. So the trench is going to come underneath the digger, straight down here where I'm walking, carry on down here, and then you see this tree on the corner here, that one. That I'm going to dig out, because that space just down there is where I'm going to put my tank. It's going to be a hole 2 metres deep, 6 foot, I think it's 6 foot long, or 2 metres long, and about 3 foot wide. So the tank's going to be in here, let's say, and then I'm then going to run a soak-away pipe down my garden down here. I'm trying to do this so I don't have to dig up any of my flower beds or anything. Not that I'm a gardener, I kind of inherited it, and I keep trying my best to look after it, but I'm not that good at gardening. So I'm going to come all the way down here, and then I'm going to dig a trench across, where's my finger, across there, and then about another 1.5 meters across, another one across there, and another one across there, and that's looking back up there, look. So from the back of my house to where we're stood now is about, oh, I don't know what it is, 45 metres, something like that, 40 metres. And this trench here, when my neighbour across the other side there was putting his tank in a couple of weeks back, I tracked his little dig around and borrowed it, and I dug that trench out there to see what we've got. Can't really see a lot, can you? But that's about 3 foot deep, and we've had a fair bit of rain in the last sort of few days, and as you can see there's not a bead in there at all, so the soak away should work quite well. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next few. Well, my tank's not coming till the 7th of July, which is a way off yet, but I say my good friend Paul has lent me his mini digger, so as you can see I'm not much of a gardener. Look, we're looking a bit overgrown around the greenhouse. I don't do a lot with it. I cut the grass and pull the weeds that I know are weeds, and then, that's the other thing. Behind here is a pond, look. It's a lot bigger than it looks on camera. What I'm going to try and do is, as much of the dirt I dig out of here, where I'm going to put the tank in, I'm going to fill the pond in as well. So I've got that to pump out as well. So anyway, now you know what I'm up to. So I might not be about for a while. So anyway, we will see you. Will we see you? Yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.